Hello everyone, back tuning into today's video. We're going to have a look at next week, 10 days. In today's video, we'll also have a look at CFS V2 for next month. This takes us into October. Now, we're going to get this ridge building up over weekend and into next week. It's going to try and bring us some settled weather, but there are question marks about how long this is going to last, I think, because the Atlantic is in quite a buoyant, quite an active mood at the moment, and the latest model runs are suggesting this might only last a couple of days early next week before we go back to unsettled conditions. But I'll tell you everything that's going on in a moment. But we'll start off by having a look at the tropics, because of course all eyes now on Hurricane Maria, which is heading into, or it is into the Caribbean. That's Maria just there. This is the old Hurricane Jose, now down to Category 1 hurricane off the east coast of America. This was Hurricane Lee, but that's now down to a area of thunderstorms, really not even a tropical storm. But as I say, all eyes at the moment are on Hurricane Maria. The latest information about Maria from the National Hurricane Center is that it's a Category 5 hurricane, so another Category 5 hot on the heels of Irma. Into the Caribbean, which means that again we've got sustained winds of 116 miles an hour here through the Caribbean. Gusts, no doubt, going up to around 180 miles an hour, maybe even more. The central pressure of 933 millibars, and roughly in the same areas that were affected by Hurricane Irma as well. So this is obviously bringing devastating weather to the Caribbean right now. The track of Hurricane Maria, say, very similar to sort of areas that were affected by Hurricane Irma. So the current position of Maria is just here. It will continue as either a Category 5 or a Category 4 hurricane through to the end of the week, so to the weekend. And it's going to push northwards through places like British Virgin Islands again, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic. Looks like this time we'll avoid Florida and Cuba. They'll probably miss it as it curves northwards and maybe give a direct hit to the Bahamas. But it's certainly really devastating weather again through the Caribbean. We'll be hearing a lot about Hurricane Maria in the coming few days. Devastating in its own terms because it's Category 5 hurricane, so again the sustained winds are 160 miles an hour, gusts probably over 180 miles an hour, so devastating weather for that reason, and also because it's so soon after Hurricane Irma, and these areas haven't really recovered at all from Irma yet. They're already being given a pasting by Hurricane Maria, so really severe weather through the Caribbean right now. This is how the tropical Atlantic is looking with the GFS model at the moment. That is Hurricane Jose just there. That was Hurricane Lee there, and of course that is Maria just there. Let's run through and see how the GFS is handling things in the tropics over the coming days. So that is Maria continuing to move into the Caribbean through the rest of the week. This is taking us up to Friday. More devastating weather heading through the Caribbean up to Friday. And then the storm pushes northwards in towards the Bahamas as we get through into the weekend. Again, you notice it is giving Cuba a miss just here. It's also giving Florida a miss just there. That might change. It might get pushed eastwards with time, but at the moment the models don't want to take this into Cuba and into Florida. Hurricane Maria then carries on pushing northwards off the eastern seaboard of America before moving it further northwards, and eventually it ends up as a deep area of low pressure off Newfoundland. That's by the time you get through to Friday, 29th of September. After that, no sign of any more storms or hurricanes forming, although you'll see these green areas, which are probably thunderstorms through the tropical Atlantic. Any one of those really could develop into something further down the line. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. But we have enough to be going on with Maria in any case. Keep you updated on that over the next few days. Right, coming back to the UK's weather then. These are the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles for Stoke-on-Trent today. So the red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average, and we're still a little bit cooler on average just today, but by tomorrow we'll be in a warmer air mass. And then looks like the rest of the week, right way through towards the end of the month, really, this is end of September, start of October just here, through to that period, it looks like we're going to be a little bit warmer now. So we are going to get a warmer phase for the final sort of week to 10 days of September before, in the first week of October, maybe signs of a bit of a cooling trend taking place. But the temperature side of things is on course. I'm not sure about the dry weather, though, because you'll notice, I'm sure, a lot of precipitation spikes. So this just here is whether it's going to be coming across the country on Thursday. That's probably going to be quite active. It'll be wet and windy weather into the northwest tomorrow. Then it'll spread southeast on Thursday, probably producing quite a bit of rain. After that, now this is when we're supposed to be getting a bit of a drier spell just here. And whilst there are a few drier days over weekend, and possibly into the start of next week, overall, it looks like we've still got quite a lot of rainfall spikes there. And actually, as we go through to the end of September, into the start of October, those rainfall spikes may be increasing. So certainly in the Midlands, there's no sign that we're going into a particularly extended run of dry weather, to be honest, on that particular ensemble chart. These are surface temperatures and air pressure, so we'll deal with the surface temperatures first of all. Now, we are going to get a little bit of a warming over coming days, so you'll see as we get through into the weekend and next week, we are lifting those temperatures up very close to 20 degrees at Stoke-on-Trent, before probably through the first week of October, we begin to cool them down once again. For a few days over weekend into next week, it could get quite warm. In terms of air pressure, again, no real sign of high pressure coming in. So this is where we're starting off at, around 1,020 millibars. Actually, pressure will drop a little bit on Thursday, bring that weather front through. Then the weekend next week, we're around there. So again, somewhere around 1,020 millibars, before again, probably dropping back, if anything, through the course of next week. Again, nothing sustained in terms of high pressure. You wouldn't look at that and necessarily think we're going to go into a prolonged spell of anticyclonic conditions by any means. Temperature anomalies look like this, so a little bit above average from the 19th through to 27th of September, slightly on the warmer than average side. Precipitation anomalies, now they don't look too bad really. England and Wales from the 19th, 27th of September will be coming out rather on the drier than average side. It does look a little bit more unsettled for Scotland and Northern Ireland. Now bear in mind, we are going to get a reasonable amount of dry weather really. From today through to early next week, it's not much rain, just one day's rainfall really, much of England and Wales, which is on Thursday. Outside of that, it's dry before, and it should be mostly dry over weekend as well. It's really next week, and this only goes up to Wednesday, 27th of September. It's really next week, but I think this dry spell might break down quite quickly. So let's just have a look at the GFS then for Saturday, and that's when the high pressure is building up. So I think there will be a reasonable amount of dry weather over weekend. Even then, not complete dry, because there are weather fronts out to the west that will bring a little bit of showery rain into west and southwest of the country. But for most places, high pressure over Scandinavia is dominating, and we should be largely dry at the weekend. Early next week, also looking largely dry with this high pressure over Scandinavia, although you'll notice this flabby low just here to the south, as that could be threatening showers early next week down across the southern part of the country. But let's say Monday and Tuesday, again, mostly dry. So that's around 4 days of dry weather, or 5 days of dry weather, really, from Friday through to Tuesday. But beyond that, very quickly, the GFS wants to bring the Atlantic back in. So through the second half of next week, this is running up to day 10, we are turning increasingly unsettled with low pressure moving in from off the Atlantic. This, by the way, over here, is the remains of Hurricane Maria, which on Friday 29th of September is close to Newfoundland. And then Maria gives everything a shove on as we go beyond day 10 to the end of October, start of October. This is certainly 1st October. We've run out beyond day 10. But by then, we are well and truly back into a proper westerly there, with the remains of Maria really giving that ridge over Scandinavia a pasting. And that's back to very unsettled westerly conditions, courtesy of former Hurricane Maria. This is UWS, so again, the ridge is building through the east of the country early next week. Weather systems are out to west, just about holding them off over the weekend, and still just about holding them off into the start of next week. But by Tuesday, look, already the UWS is beginning to bring the Atlantic back in quite a bit, and as we go through to the middle part of next week, that just continues with the low pressure deepening in the Atlantic Ocean. And so we go up towards day 10, which is Friday 29th of September, and by then we are firmly back into westerly conditions. There's the former Hurricane Maria just there, close to Newfoundland. We've already seen what the GFS does with that, runs it directly across the Atlantic and gives us a direct hit from it in the first couple of days of October. So definitely the models today have shifted towards becoming unsettled next week. Maybe a day or two, ECNDF doesn't really even produce that, but possibly a day or two of dry conditions at the start of next week. But from the middle of next week onwards, the GFS wants to bring the Atlantic back, and so does the ECMWF as well. Finally, just have a quick look at CFS V2 for next month. These are 500 millibar height anomalies broken down into 10-day periods. First 10-day period going from the 19th to the 25th of September. Low pressure is out to the west, and we're bringing westerlies in like that. This one looks quite unsettled. Bear in mind, it will be settling down with time. Then we go through to week 2, which takes us from the 26th of September through to the 2nd of October, and the CFS wants to build up this ridge. Very interestingly, this kind of thing we were looking at yesterday with high pressure taking over, but we know from today's charts that the GFS and the ECM want to break this ridge down very, very quickly. So I am dubious about this run from the CFS today. This is preferred to the 9th of October, still with a lot of anticyclonic influences and probably bringing in that easterly wind. And we go through to week 4, which is the 10th to the 16th of October, with high pressure to our south, probably returning the winds to the west and turning more unsettled, but still reasonably mild. I'm very, very dubious about that CFS run. I very nearly didn't include it in today's video, but I can't cherry pick the charts, and we always look at the CFS on a Tuesday, so I did decide to include it in the end. But based on, this was generated yesterday, I should say, and yesterday we know that the GFS and the ECM were making more of that ridge next week, whereas today they have well and truly backed off the idea of that ridge being in control for any length of time next week. Now, all that said, it may be the models will shift back to that kind of solution that the CFS is showing, and actually will finish up with quite a dry week next week. But I am dubious because the Atlantic is in quite an active mode at the moment, and it just seems a little bit, intuitively, a little bit unlikely that we would very quickly break out of this unsettled weather that we've had for a while now and go into a prolonged run of high pressure. So to me, this morning's model runs, which are much more unsettled, they do look more plausible really than that idea of the high pressure taking control. But we can't write anything off because we know it is an uncertain time of year. Talk about this in the videos every day at the moment. It's a very uncertain time of year due to these storms and hurricanes that we've got in the Atlantic Ocean. And we're just going to have to wait and see, really, how much influence this ridge has as it tries to build over Scandinavia at the weekend. We will get a run of drier days from Friday through the weekend and probably lasting into early next week as well. But from around Tuesday, Wednesday onwards, that's when the uncertainty is creeping in. And we'll be keeping you posted, of course, over coming days. It's a 5-day forecast tomorrow, so come back for that. And we'll also have a look at all of this stuff as well. That's all for now, and thanks for watching.